The late chancellor of UC Santa Cruz, who was a leftist who threw herself off a roof after other leftists protested that she wasn't left enough. In all fairness, I don't think the left killed her. She had a very tormented private life. And was under a cloud of scandal because she had redecorated the president's office at a cost of $400,000 and given her lesbian lover a $175,000 university job. Who wanted to slam her computer shut. She didn't want to hear his opinion. That's fascism. That's what the left is about. No, that's really. Listen, you might learn something. So now I want to explain what the importance of social construction is, why it's a religious doctrine with people on the left. The difference in the world today is, well, the difference between, let me limit this. The difference between conservatives and leftists is this. The conservatives, they get up in the morning, and if they find that the world is not worse today than it was yesterday, they're happy. Because they believe that there's a huge obstacle to revolutionary change called human nature. Why did the Bolsheviks, why did Marxists, why did progressives, why did people committed to social justice murder 120 million people, most of them poor, most of them peasants, in the last 100 years? Because they wouldn't get with the program. They didn't want to give up their little plots of land. But the Bolsheviks had a better idea. We're going to collectivize you and then we'll produce more. No, you won't. Because you can't get people to work for somebody else the way they work for themselves. Very simple. I believe that we are blank slates. And if there are any students over there, you should read a book by a liberal, Steven Pinker, called The Blank Slate, and bump your head against all the empirical data that we are not blank slates and that you can't just mold people and make them into new men and new women, which is the leftist idea. Leftists, modern leftists, all derive their godfather is Rousseau, who said that man is born free and is everywhere in chains. That in the state of nature, we all are cooperative, we're honest, we're just good people. But when we get into society, social institutions corrupt us. If you believe that man is oppressed, or human beings are oppressed by society, and social institutions, well, since social institutions are man-made and now woman-made, you can change them. So the social construction of everything, race, gender, class, already been tried, and it's killed 120 million people and bankrupted whole continents, making them poorer than is imaginable. And that's why they can only assign leftist books in their classes, because if you just bump into Thomas Sowell on race, if you just bump into any of thousands of conservative writers, witnesses to the crimes that progressives have committed, you might start thinking. And we can't think if we're going to all chant together. We have to do it by rote. Thank you. I will take questions, a few. If I start reeling more than I do, it's just fatigue. Yeah, no, go ahead. Take the question.
Well, we're going to start a line here on the 6th step up right here. So if you can all
don't affect the left
right here next to me, I would appreciate it. Anybody who has a question?
Governments put together, and Gramsci supported that. But he's an icon in the universe, among university leftists. Yeah, we talked earlier today. Why don't you come up, Austin? I know you're not going to attack me. Physically.
There we go. Yeah, earlier you were describing hierarchies as rigid, and the existence of people like Barack Obama and Oprah Winfrey being as high as they are and being African American as well disproves the existence of hierarchies of race and gender, of hierarchies. And among your examples of hierarchies, you listed the military, where you gave the example, say, a private is only able to do things as a private and have the privileges of a private until he is promoted. Given that there is upward mobility within a hierarchy, how do Oprah Winfrey and Barack Obama, how do they still improve?
That's a very good question. I was actually thinking that as I was saying what I was saying and saying. I might think to myself a hole here. Maybe it's a bad example because it's not a. Let me finish the thought. Because it's an institution rather than a social structure. So what I should have restricted the example to social structures, like slave societies where slaves are always slaves and masters are always masters. The fact of the matter is that there is incredible mobility in this society. Just is. That if you look at the wealth statistics, for example, and I don't have them at the tips of my fingers, you will find, I believe, that women have more wealth than men. And there's a good reason for that because the laws of this country, the divorce laws, which are among the grave injustices in this country, but they divide up the wealth in a very, in my view, inequitable manner at the end of a marriage. The divorce laws were, well, I don't know, let's not go into that. Anyway, so it's a good point. It's a good point, but it doesn't at all contradict the fact that we don't live in a society where there are hierarchies. Women are not subordinated to men through a power system that oppresses them and requires a revolution to change. That's the point. Nice to have a first day in the city. Anyway, let's go. No, the answer is if there's discrimination, well, we have laws in this country. Discrimination is illegal. So I'm for that. But I don't want to. But you have classes here that ignore the fact that this is the most tolerant, equitable, free society on the planet. I'll say it again. There are plenty of liberals, actual, not communists, but liberals, who I would disagree with. But I'm actually very, very liberal myself, and that is, as conservatives are, because we understand that the root cause of social problems is us, and nobody has a monopoly of truth.